Imagine a single quarterback decision that altered NFL history forever. In 1999, the Cincinnati Bengals faced a monumental choice: accept a historic trade package of 9 draft picks from the New Orleans Saints or select Oregon's Akili Smith. The Bengals, captivated by Smith's one standout college season, chose him 3rd overall, while 6 future Hall of Famers remained available. The gamble failed spectacularly. Smith started merely 17 games across 4 seasons, throwing just 5 touchdowns before disappearing from the NFL. Meanwhile, fans can only wonder about the alternate universe where Cincinnati accepted that unprecedented offer, potentially transforming their franchise trajectory for decades to come. In the NFL, desperation is a dangerous thing. When a team becomes truly desperate, rational thinking often gets replaced by wishful thinking. The Cincinnati Bengals of 1999 were the perfect example of a franchise that had hit rock bottom, especially at the quarterback position. The Bengals had endured a revolving door of quarterback mediocrity throughout the late 1990s. Jeff Blake, Neil O'Donnell, and Paul Justin had all cycled through Cincinnati between 1996 and 1998, producing disastrous results with a miserable 13-35 record over that 3-year stretch. The 1998 season proved particularly painful as the team limped to a 3-13 finish, underscoring their dramatic fall from relevance. Cincinnati's struggles extended beyond quarterback woes. The franchise hadn't made the playoffs since 1990, leading to visible fan alienation. Empty orange seats at Synergy Field became the defining image of home games, while season ticket sales plummeted. Owner Mike Brown, feeling mounting pressure, believed finding a franchise quarterback represented the fastest path to redemption, just as his father Paul Brown had built the team around Ken Anderson in the 1970s. Head coach Bruce Coslet faced similar pressure. After 2.5 seasons of disappointing results, Coslet understood his job security depended directly on finding a quarterback who could deliver wins. The entire coaching staff operated within this pressure cooker, where another losing season likely meant unemployment for everyone. This atmosphere of desperation created the perfect conditions for a fateful decision in the 1999 NFL Draft. With the 3rd overall pick, Cincinnati positioned itself to select a top quarterback prospect. Meanwhile, Saints coach Mike Ditka had become fixated on drafting running back Ricky Williams. To move up from the 12th pick to Cincinnati's 3rd position, Ditka offered a historic proposal: all of New Orleans' 1999 draft picks, first-rounders in both 2000 and 2001, plus a second-round pick in 2002. In total, 9 draft picks to move up just 9 spots, a treasure trove of potential talent that could have transformed the franchise. For a rebuilding team like Cincinnati, this wealth of draft capital could have addressed multiple roster needs simultaneously. They could have still drafted a quarterback later or pursued one in free agency while constructing a complete team. Instead, Cincinnati's front office remained so fixated on finding their quarterback savior that they declined the Saints' unprecedented offer. More alarming, there wasn't unanimous internal support for Akili Smith, their eventual selection. Coslet later admitted, "Smith ranked at the bottom of our list among that year's quarterbacks." Smith's college coach even warned Cincinnati's staff, "I couldn't trust him." Despite these red flags, the Bengals drafted Smith anyway. This decision would haunt the franchise for years. But what did the Bengals see in Smith that made them disregard these warnings? That story begins at the University of Oregon, where a one-year wonder had captivated NFL scouts everywhere. Akili Smith's path to becoming the 3rd overall pick wasn't the traditional journey of a top NFL prospect. Before capturing the attention of NFL scouts, Smith spent 2 years at Grossmont College, a junior college in California. At Grossmont, coaches marveled at his raw athleticism and arm talent, though his mechanics remained unrefined. His athletic ability was evident early. He was actually drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates as a baseball player in 1993 before deciding to pursue football. Like a diamond waiting to be cut, Smith possessed extraordinary natural gifts that simply needed polishing. This unusual background meant he arrived at Oregon in 1997 as a raw talent with limited football experience. His first year with the Ducks was unremarkable. Smith spent most of the season watching from the sidelines, serving as a backup and appearing in just 6 games. He threw only 45 passes that season, completing 26 for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nothing about this limited playing time hinted at what was coming. Then, in a single breathtaking season, everything changed. Like a comet suddenly blazing across the football sky, Smith exploded onto the national scene in 1998 with a statistical outburst that forced NFL scouts to take notice. He threw for 3,763 yards and 30 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions. Smith led the nation with 10.2 yards per pass attempt and tied for first with 17.3 yards per completion. Elite indicators of a quarterback who could create explosive plays downfield. Smith's physical traits matched his production. Standing 6 feet 3 inches and weighing 220 pounds, he had the prototypical size NFL teams wanted, complemented by exceptional arm strength that allowed him to deliver bullets into tight windows. His athleticism was remarkable, running a 4.72-second 40-yard dash and setting a quarterback record with a 6.99-second three-cone drill, demonstrating both straight-line speed and extraordinary change-of-direction ability. In pre-draft workouts, Smith continued to impress. Teams watched as he displayed his tremendous arm talent, throwing accurately on the run and making plays outside the pocket, qualities becoming increasingly valuable in the evolving NFL. Compared to his draft classmates, Smith offered a tantalizing ceiling. Donovan McNabb was more polished. Dante Culpepper had comparable size but came from a smaller program. Yet many scouts believed Smith's physical tools gave him the highest potential in the class. NFL teams quickly overlooked the obvious red flags. Smith had essentially 1 year of high-level college experience and limited grasp of complex offensive schemes. These warnings were pushed aside in favor of his physical attributes and spectacular season. With the selection of Smith, Cincinnati passed on 6 future Hall of Famers: Champ Bailey, Edgerrin James, Torrey Holt, Ricky Williams, Kevin Mawae, and Brian Dawkins. As Smith put on the Bengals cap, no one could predict the challenges awaiting him. As the fanfare of draft day faded, Akili Smith's NFL career stumbled at the very starting line. Before he could throw a single pass in practice, Smith's agent Lee Steinberg engaged in a contract dispute with the Bengals front office. The standoff stretched 27 days, keeping Smith away from the team during the most critical developmental period for a rookie quarterback. By the time he finally signed his 7-year, $56 million contract, Smith had missed nearly all of training camp, a head start lost before the starting gun even fired, putting him significantly behind schedule in learning the playbook and adjusting to the NFL game. This early absence proved catastrophic for Smith. The Bengals' offensive system under coordinator Bob Bratkowski was a traditional pro-style offense, a sharp departure from the wide-open spread-style system Smith had operated at Oregon. In Cincinnati, Smith needed to identify defensive coverages pre-snap, work through multiple progressions, and make split-second decisions under pressure from NFL pass rushers. The complexity gap became painfully apparent in practice. Smith struggled to call plays correctly in the huddle, often fumbling through the terminology. During team drills, he hesitated on throws that required anticipation, waiting to see receivers come open rather than trusting his reads and timing. The coaching staff grew increasingly concerned that Smith simply couldn't process information quickly enough for the NFL level. When Smith finally got his first NFL start in Week 5 against the Cleveland Browns, he showed brief flashes, completing 25 of 42 passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. But this performance proved to be an outlier. In subsequent games, his limitations became obvious. Smith's completion percentage plummeted to 46.6% over his career, nearly 15 points below the league average, ranking among the lowest for starting quarterbacks. His throws often sailed high or wide as he struggled with both decision-making and accuracy. Bratkowski later revealed that Smith wasn't as diligent as he should have been in studying the playbook and film. While Donovan McNabb and Dante Culpepper from the same draft class were known for their meticulous preparation, Smith appeared overwhelmed by the mental demands. McNabb benefited from a more gradual development plan in Philadelphia, starting just 6 games his rookie year while learning behind veteran Doug Peterson. Smith had no such luxury in Cincinnati. The coaching staff eventually took drastic measures, dramatically simplifying the offense and limiting his reads to basic half-field progressions. These simplifications restricted the entire offense's potential, creating a vicious cycle that prevented Smith from developing the skills needed for NFL success. The pressure of being the third overall pick weighed heavily on Smith. The Bengals had turned down 9 draft picks to select him. As his struggles mounted, his confidence visibly eroded. Teammates noticed his growing frustration and increasingly dejected demeanor after poor practices. Smith was drowning in the complexities of the NFL game, with his off-field approach creating an entirely new set of problems that further undermined his chance at success. Being an NFL quarterback demands a lifestyle of meticulous preparation. The greatest quarterbacks are known for arriving first at the facility and leaving last, spending countless hours studying film, mastering playbooks, and refining their craft. Their preparation becomes almost monastic in its discipline. Akili Smith's approach to professional life couldn't have been more different. As Smith struggled to grasp Cincinnati's complex offensive system, his response was to escape. Rather than spending extra hours with coaches or in the film room, Smith became a fixture in Cincinnati's nightlife scene. The third overall pick was frequently spotted at local clubs until 3 a.m., often buying rounds for entire bars, building a reputation that spread quickly through the organization and the city. Smith later admitted his focus outside of football directly contributed to his struggles. "I definitely made some mistakes," he reflected on his time with the Bengals. This understated acknowledgement barely captured the extent of his lifestyle. While teammates were in film sessions, Smith was often lost in a haze of neon lights and nightclub music. As his nights consumed his focus, his days on the field suffered visibly. The contrast between Smith's approach and the quarterbacks who succeeded from his draft class was stark. While Donovan McNabb built a reputation for methodical preparation in Philadelphia, Smith's film study consisted mainly of watching the highlights of his own college career. Former Bengals offensive coordinator Bob Bratkowski noted that Smith wasn't as diligent as he should have been when it came to studying film and learning the playbook. This lack of preparation had clear consequences on game days. Smith appeared confused by defensive looks that should have been familiar from film study. He struggled to recognize blitzes and make protection adjustments. His decision-making was slow and tentative, all signs of a quarterback who hadn't done his homework. The psychological pressure of being selected third overall likely contributed to Smith's behavior. With 9 potential draft picks surrendered to select him, Smith carried tremendous expectations. Smith himself later acknowledged this, saying he was trying to run away from all the negativity surrounding his play. Rather than confronting struggles through additional preparation, Smith sought refuge in Cincinnati's nightlife. This created a destructive cycle. Poor preparation led to poor performance, which increased pressure and criticism, which drove more escape behavior, further reducing preparation time. By his second season, the organization saw someone unwilling to put in necessary work despite natural talent. Smith's own admission, which came years later, was telling. "I was a complete embarrassment off the field." This stark self-assessment reveals how his lifestyle undermined his career. Today, Smith uses these experiences to warn young players about the importance of preparation and focus. He has become a cautionary tale about how even extraordinary physical gifts can be negated by poor choices away from the field. The numbers tell the brutal truth about Akili Smith's time in Cincinnati. After 4 seasons, the Bengals' prized quarterback finished with a dismal 3-14 record as a starter. He threw just 5 touchdowns against 13 interceptions and completed only 46.6% of his passes. For a third overall pick who commanded a $56 million contract, these statistics represented one of the most dramatic mismatches between investment and return in NFL draft history. In 2003, the Bengals finally admitted their mistake and released Smith, ending a relationship that had disappointed everyone involved. The shadow of the rejected Saints trade offer, 9 draft picks including 2 future first-rounders, loomed over every incomplete pass and interception. While Smith sought resurrection with the Green Bay Packers in 2003 as Brett Favre's potential backup, even this opportunity vanished when the team cut him before the season. Brief stints with Frankfurt Galaxy in 2005 and Calgary Stampeders in 2007 yielded similar disappointment. The quarterback once valued above future Hall of Famers couldn't secure a role even in secondary leagues. Cincinnati paid dearly for their misguided investment. their quarterback position became seemingly cursed as the team cycled through a carousel of failed starters, including John Kitna, before finally finding stability with Carson Palmer years later. This period became known as the Lost Decade, 1992 to 2002, defined by persistent losing and organizational dysfunction. Those missing 9 draft picks could have rebuilt their entire roster with young talent, potentially transforming the franchise trajectory instead of anchoring it to a single failing prospect. After football, Smith channeled his experience into coaching and mentoring young players. He transformed career disappointment into teaching opportunities, sharing his journey as a cautionary tale about preparation and professionalism. Smith coached at high school and college levels, including as a graduate assistant at California under his former Oregon coordinator Jeff Tedford. Today, he coaches at Maranatha High School in Pasadena. Smith's trajectory from top prospect to cautionary example illuminates the complex factors determining NFL success. Physical talent, the quality that made scouts salivate, proved inadequate without maturity, work ethic, and organizational fit. His development faltered without the dedication, football intelligence, and professional discipline required at the highest level. The NFL draft remains an imperfect science. Teams continue making similar mistakes, elevating physically gifted prospects based on potential rather than production. Many follow Smith's disappointing path, unable to convert natural abilities into professional achievement. As Smith himself acknowledged, he was a complete embarrassment off the field, demonstrating how character and commitment often determine a player's career arc more than physical capabilities. The story of Akili Smith stretches beyond one player's unfulfilled potential. It reveals how NFL teams can fall victim to their own desperation, valuing raw physical tools over the complete package. The Bengals paid a steep price for this lesson, enduring years of quarterback instability after Smith's departure. Smith's story teaches us a valuable lesson. NFL executives now understand that mental fortitude, work ethic, and organizational fit matter equally with physical talent. As Bruce Coslett noted, his concerns about Smith's maturity and awareness proved prophetic. When physically gifted quarterbacks with limited experience climb draft boards, Smith's cautionary tale should echo in war rooms across the league. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and check out more of our content right here.